I mean, another thing to keep in mind is that things like this have been happening to undocumented immigrants all along. So this feeling like life is really arbitrary and you could be arrested and thrown into a detention center and not have access to your family and not have access to a lawyer. This feeling of uncertainty and fear and the arbitrary nature, I think, has been common among people who are undocumented through many administrations. What's different now has been the massive spread of this to immigrants with documentation and people who felt relatively secure. I mean, of course, there's no such thing as complete security. I could step outside my house and be hit by a car 10 minutes from now. But a general understanding that, I can make plans and decide how I want to live my life and, get a book from the library because I know I'll be here tomorrow to read it or, whatever. Just this sort of general sense of like, of course, something, anything can happen anytime, but you don't spend your life worrying about those things. You know that you can live your life. So the spread of that to people with all levels of permission to be in the United States. So people with temporary protected status, revoked. People with green cards, revoked. People with parole, revoked. People with, and I think the case of the Salvadoran immigrant who actually had a judicial order saying that he could not be returned to El Salvador because his life would be in danger, who was then picked up by ICE and sent to the CICOT prison in El Salvador. Hundreds of people, most of them are Venezuelan. We don't know their names. Nobody knows their names. None of them have been able to have any contact with the outside world since they were picked up by ICE and sent to one of the world's most notorious prisons in El Salvador. And we've just seen a few photographs of them with their heads shaved and handcuffed and there's been no press allowed. Nobody has any idea what's happening to them. I think people have particularly been following the case of, and almost all of them had legal status, the Venezuelans who were picked up, legal status that was revoked. But in this case, the person's legal status was not revoked, in fact, could not be revoked because it wasn't a temporary status, it was a permanent status based on that his life would be in danger if he was sent home. So the judge ruled that he could not be sent back to El Salvador. And now there's been several court rulings that his family has demanded that he be brought back to the United States. And the court ruled that he had to be brought back by midnight last night, and or was it 5 p.m. yesterday? And Trump appealed it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, well, we need more time to think about it. Okay, but in that time that they're taking to think about it, he remains, I mean, we don't even know if he's alive, but if he is alive, he remains in prison in El Salvador.